Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Small Stages, Big Sounds. I'm joined tonight by Ed and Mark from Manchester band Lute. We're going to have a chat about the band, see where they come from, what their influences are, what their plans are for the future, and we hope to get to know them, and maybe you will see them on the circuit somewhere. So, hi guys.
Hi, how you doing?
Hello.
I'm okay. How are you?
Good, yeah.
So, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Well, I'm Ed Truscott. I'm lead singer and guitarist from Lute.
I'm Mark Hatton, lead guitarist.
So, who or what are Lute?
Who or what are Lute? Well, that's a big question, isn't it? Well, Lute. Well, should we run through the rest of the band, shall we?
Okay.
On bass, we've got Jacqueline, who does backing vocals as well, and on the drums, we've got Johnny Baxendale. And we're a four-piece prog rock band from Manchester. Lute started as a kind of a studio project of mine, essentially, many years ago, without a band as such. And I recorded an album myself in my flat, and then had to look for a band to put together to start doing gigs, which I did for a number of years. That band kind of fell away. A few years later, I advertised for a new band, and that was the band that we've still got today. And we've been gigging ever since. This is probably around 2015, 2016 time. We first got together, and then we've been playing mostly around Manchester since then, really, learning or playing the songs that I'd originally recorded myself. But then we've spent the years after that writing and recording, playing new stuff live, and then finally, as we'll probably get to later on, finally recording the new album last year. So it's been an epic journey so far. Yeah,
Like most prog bands, it's gone on forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't mean to be derogatory. You know what I mean.
No, it is life imitating art.
That's what it is. Yeah.
It takes time to get there. So, when you say you're a prog band, just sort of who are your influences then as a prog band?
Well, me personally, Tool was probably the biggest influence that started me writing this kind of stuff. And then I think we all share that kind of influence. And, look at bands like Opeth and Rush, other prog bands, Mastodon, if you're aware of them, grunge bands, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden. And I think we all share those kind of influences, don't we?
Yeah, and the classic prog bands as well, your Pink Floyds, your King Crimsons, that's where I started, for certainly. With prog, I was originally, when I first got into music, I was really into metal. Then I kind of went into this 70s old school prog thing. And then after that, I merged the two. So I got into prog metal. I found the best of both worlds.
Well, I have to say, I like the prog bit. I'm not so sure about the metal bit. That's a different issue altogether. That's an age thing.
Yeah, I suppose.
I've got a big prog influence. Listened to all of them over the years. Pink Floyd, Genesis, yes, King Crimson, as you said. But some of your tracks, I'm picking up other influences in there. And I quite like the music, I will say. And as I said, we'll play some tracks after, particularly Fears and potentially Discovery. Just to see where we go with those two, because those are the two that stand out in my mind at the moment.
Yeah, sorry, Dave.
You've recorded an album, which is currently available on streaming services.
Indeed.
How's it being received?
Well, we hope. It's difficult to tell these days with Spotify because everything is it's just out there for people to listen to. And the way Spotify works, you have to hope that you get some streams up and some numbers, and then it gets, with all these algorithms that Spotify seems to be structured around, it then gets bumped up to searches, suggested searches and things like that. So it's kind of difficult to gauge a lot of the time how it's kind of picking up momentum. But we hope that it was received well when we first released it. But I think the key for us now is to start booking and playing more gigs and start just pushing it out there live, which is how it used to be anyway, the old-fashioned way of just getting your music out there by playing it live and then hoping people will then go onto Spotify and discover it. But I think booking for us was relief that it was just released, because it took quite a long time to get it done, to be honest.
I think, unfortunately, a lot, like Ed said, with the streaming, a lot of it is very playlist orientated, and that's not. I mean, this is a 75-minute concept album. It's not really.
The thing is, the songs can be taken in isolation if you want them to, but obviously we still like to think that people still want to listen to albums, and people's attention spans have got less and less. But we hope that there's still people out there that are interested in prog music and longer songs, and there's a market for it still, But we understand that the way Spotify works now, people just want to go and pick a song and throw it onto a playlist, which is like, okay, well, if that's the way people want to do it, fine, But hopefully we'd like to think that people are still listening to albums, as a full,
I think the songs do stand on their own, but it was written to be listened to as
concept,
from start to finish, really.
Start to finish, one to the other, but they can be listened to individually as well,
So would you like to explain the concept behind the album then?
The concept for me basically is kind of a fusion of kind of real life, struggles and escapism mixed with a bit of kind of fantasy, kind of fiction, really.
Sci-fi.
A bit of sci-fi, a bit of progginess. I like the idea of like people thinking that they could, people who are unhappy with their life situation, think that they could go somewhere, a different planet or whatever, where they could try and start again and live their life again. And it's that idea that, well, that doesn't really work like that, but there's the idea of escapism, and there's a bit of science fiction, like the idea that people can escape to a different planet, relive their lives again, where in fact the planet is actually just run by the wealthy few percent who are using them to basically keep themselves wealthy. It kind of infuses austerity ideas with general kind of life struggles, and mixed in with a bit of spacey progginess, if you like. And the planet, the name of the planet's Austerium, which is the album name.
I think you once described it as an interplanetary anti-austerity love story.
Well, so given that it's a prog album, and I've grown up with prog, and I remember the first time I put Dark Side of the Moon on in a dark room with a pair of headphones on, and it blew my mind. Like I said, that was 1973. There you are. And I actually went to see the Dark Side of the Moon concept, like stream that was going around. It was like a theatre event a few months ago, and that was brilliant. But, it was still Dark Side of the Moon.
Was that the Redux? Or
yeah.
Was this, yeah, the Redux, yeah.
Yeah, but it was still Dark Side of the Moon,
yeah.
It was brilliant. It took me back to being that 14-year-old boy listening to Dark Side of the Moon through headphones. So would you suggest that the best way to listen to your album is beginning to end in a darkened room with headphones on?
Probably, yeah. It doesn't have to be headphones. A good set of speakers will do. But that's what we actually did that. We actually did sit in the dark, didn't we, for our album through with the band?
I think you can listen to it wherever you want. I mean, when I was listening to the mixes or just the album from start to finish when it was done, I was just walking around the block or whatever, on the train, on the bus, I think you can get into a space, you can get lost in the music wherever you are, really, if you get into that feel. But yeah, headphones work. But I think most people listen to music now is with earphones and headphones anyway. So, but I think you can listen to it wherever you want. But yeah, if you're alone in a room, you can properly zone out, I guess. But I don't know, it has to be a darkened room or not. I don't know. Maybe you could have a lava lamp or something old school to add to the vibe, maybe. But
that would really take it back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But anything that adds to the vibe, absolutely.
Yeah. So to go back to your influences, I know Mark said that his influences go back to the classic prog bands, sort of the King Crimsons of the world. I was listening to Fears, and the tonal sound of the voice, the vocals, and the musical rhythm made me think instantly of Jethro Tull.
Yeah, that's another
another one of ours, that we like. Bit of Jethro.
And I thought, would you mind? It sort of reminded me a bit of Teacher by Jethro Tull. But there we are.
I'm not sure I'd know that one. Teacher. What album's that on?
I haven't got a clue. I just know the track Teacher. It was a single at one point but it's one of their bigger tracks. But it just hit me straight away.
Nice. Could be a subliminal thing. We don't. I know
Well,
a bit of Jethro Tull, not loads, but I do like a little lot of its stuff. Yeah. I mean,
but if you think about it,
I always try and put flute on our albums, which is a kind of a prog thing. I always like box I like to tick, and I always like to have a bit of flute on whatever we're doing. So
it's a big Jethro Tull thing.
yeah,
isn't it?
absolutely.
You know, Ian Anderson he played flute.
Well, I don't think we could stand on one leg, but
Yeah.
we could try.
But nonetheless, like I said, it hit me like a bolt from the blue straight away as soon as I started listening to it.
That is
And the other one was Discovery. It took me a long time to pinpoint this one, but the sound is very Blue Oyster Cult.
Blue Oyster Cult, nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, I was waiting. I was kind of expecting, because how many times have we played a gig and someone's come up to us and said Hawkwind
a few times,
but with like
maybe because
apart from Silver Machine, I don't think I've ever listened to a Hawkwind song.
We're not really a grungy kind of lo-fi sound, more of a kind of crisp, crunchier sound. But I guess live there's a bit more low end and bassiness, which might give it that Hawkwindy vibe. But I mean, Discovery and Fears kind of highlight what we are really, loud heaviness, but also the quiet string moments, which is kind of the thing with the album really, the small 2-3 minute tracks to kind of interlude between the bigger, louder stuff.
It seems that somewhere over and above, a distant dream that won't come soon enough, the bitter sting will take you any day. Here's something that you'll treasure without pain.
Yeah.
But it does give you that thought and that space to think when you get those things. And this is what I like about prog, is that variability in the rhythm and the sound, you know. But that's just a personal thing. But it's a big market if you hit the right buttons, you know. So, as I said, I like the album. What I've listened to the tracks you sent me, and I've listened to the album as well. But those are the two that stood out for me as looking for the influences. So where are you going with this? Where are you to? When are you starting to tour?
Well, touring is like another thing altogether, really. I mean,
gigging then?
Yeah, gigging. Yeah, I mean, gigging. We need we've just started working with Justin, obviously, who you know as a manager, and we've needed that extra kind of bit of support around the band in terms of gig booking. You know, we've been doing it off our own back, and it is a bit of a struggle sometimes to look for new ideas for playing live. When you're trying to do it with yourself and you're going to the same promoters, and the scene in Manchester, that's a different discussion we can have in a minute, but the scene in Manchester is not easy really. People from the outside might think that Manchester's got this kind of vibrant, great scene for bands to get booked gigs, which isn't necessarily the case really. So obviously having released this album, we need to start booking gigs and doing more shows, and Justin with a manager on board is hopefully going to help us. But the gigs we've done before outside of Manchester have a lot of the time been really good, you know, arguably better than the ones we've done in Manchester. So we're in a situation where we're happy to play anywhere really. But in terms of going on tour, we need to obviously have a good kind of market there to justify the expense of doing a tour. I think a lot of bands go off on tour and think it's great because they're on tour, but they're playing to empty rooms a lot of the time in wherever. They haven't got the market there. So, we want to play further afield, but there's a balance to be struck between playing outside of Manchester and going off for miles to play somewhere where not many people know us. But we are and have played anywhere really, and with any bands for that matter. We play with different types of bands because I think we fit into different kinds of genres. We play with heavy bands, we play with kind of indie bands, you know, less heavy bands. So in that regard, we're a bit more flexible as well. So
like I said, I've been kicking around the South Wales scene now for a long time, but more to do with the things that I've done lately with the photography and the reviews and things like that. I got to know a lot more promoters and venues around the area, and I'll have a chat with Justin about that at some point because he was looking to get some gigs in this part of the world.
Yeah.
But I'll have a chat about that. But just to give you an idea of looking for venues, it's not easy. I will say that. So give me 2 seconds. I just got to find the website. Right, I've got it. This may be a very useful website for you to get to look at. Okay. It's a website called Hereby.
okay.
It's here, HEARby.com. And you can see, there's Manchester. And you can see the venues that are there.
The
So,
ones that
you
haven't been
know,
played.
you can see the ones that are further afield as well. So just click on that; it'll take you to whichever one it is. But it'll tell you. You can look at the venues. You can discover all sorts of venues. What's on? Over the dates. You can scroll through those.
So historically is known for obviously for its music scene, but they do seem to be a lot of venues have closed to be replaced by apartments. In a lot that's the trend. That there are a lot of good ones, but there's a lot that are being closed.
Not just venues either.
Rehearsal space. Yeah, I mean that's another conversation. We've been chucked out of lots of different rehearsal.
Right. So it's a useful little thing. Look around, but yeah, I can see this is the whole point of this. It's the small stages, the big sounds, the places that people are running out of to practice.
Yeah,
it's the same sort of principle if you talk about sport. Without the small people that are bringing the children into the sport to go on to play, then teams are going to run out of players, and it's the same with music. And we all know that music is being kicked into the long grass in many schools' curriculum,
Yeah.
because it's not needed, not important. But then what's the first thing that important people do when they have an event? They look for musicians.
Yeah.
So there's that difference between the two, what they want and what they actually need. So you were struggling to find places to rehearse, and you're struggling to find places to play.
Well, thankfully, it was more of a we had a rehearsal space for
over 10 years.
Over 10 years,
for really good.
And then we got a clothing company bought the building and turfed everybody out. There were 2 floors of rehearsal.
It was central, full of bands rehearsing, some studios. A good kind of creative space. Then Boohoo bought it. We then got moved to another. We would then find another spot just slightly further out, Brunswick in a mill, and Manchester obviously has a lot of old mills that have been converted to flats and whatnot. But there's a few that were still rehearsal rooms, and this was one of them. But then within a year, that got bought and turned into it hasn't even been turned into anything yet. It's just an empty building. We got Boohoo as well. The same thing. The place before, nothing's come of that, which is a bit frustrating. Haven't been kicked out of it. So we got kicked out of the next place because it got sold for apartments. We had to rehearse in a kind of a nice place, but it was a semi-permanent place that wasn't our own, so we couldn't kind of leave our stuff there on a 24/7 thing. But now we found another site which is kind of shipping containers basically, so we're in a shipping container, but it's good, it works, because it's ours 24/7 permanent space, so hopefully that will be there for the foreseeable future and they won't get rid of that because it's just an old kind of empty space stacked up with shipping containers, so it'll be a bit more difficult for them to kick us out of that.
A bit echoey.
Yeah.
No, it's all soundproofed and
the sound.
It's all
fine,
insulated and it's not just bare steel.
Yeah, it's nice. It's got like a patios.
Oh, one of those like building things, but they used to be a shipping container.
They're rented out by businesses.
You've got all kinds in there. Yeah, you've got the nail salons and hairdressers, and then you've got guys with studios in there, and then you've got people like us practicing. But it's definitely the trend, which I guess happens in most big cities. Creative bands have to move further out. It shouldn't be the case. You have to further out to find somewhere to practice, and but the city centre now is just getting any last square inch of space is getting filled up with apartments. So Manchester's kind of in that space where in a few years' time there'll be lots of people, but they won't have anything to do because all the venues will have been replaced by the apartments they're living in. So it bears it out this week. We've got we've had Oasis in town with doing these gigs, and the city has gone crazy for the nostalgia side of it for bands that have not been around for 20 odd years, but are they catering really for bands that are now up and coming now, local bands? There seems to be a much of a commitment to helping out the local scene now, but they're happy to go crazy for the nostalgic acts that come in and reform and stuff.
They'll pay 500 quid for a ticket to go and see them, but they won't say a fiver to go and see their local band in the local place.
That's it, and part of that comes with the promoters and stuff. We obviously rely a lot of the time when we're going back to the gig booking side of things and venues. The venue might be great, but we need having the promoter to kind of help out as well. A lot of the time they rely on bands to bring their own people in and friends to come and watch the gig. It kind of we need the promoters to actually try to promote gigs that we play as well. So there's a kind of joint effort going on, which, there are a lot of good promoters we work with, but, it helps to have that on board. So all those kind of components working well, the venue doing their bit, the band doing their bit, and the promoter doing their bit in order to make a local gig work,
So we've talked about Austerium, which is your favourite track on the album. I mentioned the two that stood out for me.
Which is ours. Oh, that's
favourite to listen to or favourite to play?
That's a double-edged sword.
That's a different one. Yeah.
Favourite? Which is your favourite track? If you had to say, play a track that is typical of Austerium, which one would you choose?
I would say the last one, the last track, because it's obviously a big epic track, but it kind of sums up everything what we're about, really. Loud, quiet, strings, vocals, piano, everything. That's probably my favourite one, actually. In fact, if a favourite one to listen to and probably favourite one to play, because it's got a good ending and it's a good kind of crescendo end of gig kind of song. So yeah, probably that one.
Yeah, I know it's cliche of the prog band to say it's their 15-minute epic that they prefer. But yeah, I agree with Ed. I think the elements from the rest of the album.
Austerium is
Austerium, Escape and
Return.
Right. Okay. So only so as I know, if I could play a little bit at that point there, you see.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably our favourite, to be fair. It's a good one to do live as well. It's good, like I said, it's got a good ending. So.
Okay, so you've done this album. You're going to do some more gigs to help promote it. What are your future plans? Do you see Austerium 2?
We've got a lot because of the delay in getting this album done. I mean, we got most of it gigged and learned and ready to record before lockdown. Then when we came out of lockdown, we had like one more song to learn and gig for a bit before we recorded it. So in that period in lockdown, I wrote another album. And then in the last year, I've written another one, shorter, maybe 48, 49 minutes, around that to be exact. It's probably around 50, let's say that. So the next, we've got 2 albums. I've written 2 albums, demoed them and written them, done, basically about 50 minutes shorter. Then on top of that, we've just been writing stuff collaboratively in practice, all 4 of us together. And we've probably got, maybe 3 or 4 songs we've written together as a group in the practice room. So basically, we've got a lot of new material to learn and get through. But I wouldn't, like you say, Austerium 2, but I think that the new stuff, the 2 new albums that I've written are definitely different in their own right. Where I don't conscious to not kind of do an Austerium 2, like you say, something that's just, the same kind of format. I want it. It's just, they come out differently, which is good, really. They're going to have their own identity, the next few albums, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, the next album is already fully written, is it not?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
it's fully written. All the music, all the words. It is another concept album, but it's quite different
and shorter, which wasn't a conscious thing. It's just the way some of the songs have come out, to be shorter. And then another one in the last year or so I've kind of written, and that's just followed the same kind of theme of me kind of writing most of it at home and arranging it and stuff, and the other guys learning it, chipping in with riffs and bits and pieces here and there, and then me going away and turning it into a song. But at the same time, as of now, we're also, like I said, writing stuff, just the 4 of us in a room, writing stuff as a band, which is also good. So we've got a lot of stuff to get through. I think because this album, for whatever reason, took a while to do, Austerium, we've got this queue now of stuff, backlog of stuff queuing up to get done. Yeah.
Basically, the long and short of it is this man is a writing machine and just won't stop.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can't turn it on. The way I work, I don't really turn it on and off at practice. I don't say, "Oh, I'm at practice, I'm going to start trying to work." I write stuff. I'm doing some.
It just comes out
in my head. Yeah, the most important thing for me is the voice recorder on my phone. Because I need that wherever I am, on the bus, walk into the shops or whatever. If I think of something, I need to record it. When we're in the practice room and we're writing stuff together, I quickly get the phone out if somebody's doing something that sounds good. Because I go and document it, and then I'll go home and listen to it and try and make something out of it,
Yeah, I think that's something that you've done a lot, especially, I know a couple of the tracks on Austerium were like this, where I came forward with riffs and Ed took them away and created 10, 15-minute songs
Epics.
out of it.
Yeah, the voice recorder for a musician is the most important thing. Years ago, it would have been a dictaphone, but these days, it's just the voice recorder on your phone to get stuff done.
And it's easier to use.
And easier to use. But basically, in answer to the original question, yeah, but we have got new stuff to be done, but I wouldn't call it Austerium 2. It's going to have its own identity, I think, the next new stuff.
The title for the stuff you've been writing together could be And Then There Were Four.
Yeah, yeah.
It's already all... The next album has got... It's like... The only thing that we need to do is, as a band, is learn it. Yeah. We've got the demos, we've got everything there. It's just... I think what we'll probably do is we'll do a few more gigs.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the new songs we're writing now. We'll probably do those first live, actually, because we're writing those as of now together. But there's also the stuff that I've demoed and whatnot. That's the whole thing's ready to go. It just needs the rest of the guys to learn it. So there's a bit of flexibility as to what we're going to do live next and record next. But we've got a lot of stuff to get through.
Yeah, I think the rest of the year is probably to try and do some more gigs to promote this album, and then probably next year focus on what we're doing next.
Yeah, because Austerium took a long time to do. The plan we will want to try and get more stuff out a lot quicker, and maybe quicker succession the next few albums than it's taken to get this one done. Just so there's more conscious of having more stuff up there on Spotify, more of a catalogue for people to listen to, And the new songs are probably, some of them are kind of shorter as well, which is just the way these new songs have gone, which is nice to mix in the shorter songs in a set with the longer stuff,
Yes, picking a set is, especially if you've only got half an hour.
Doesn't take long for us. We have 3 songs.
That's 3 songs for us.
So
it's quite hard.
I went to see, it was a Belgian band, Wolves, and they came on stage and they said, "We got 2 more songs for you. We'll do this one, which is 20 minutes, and the next one might be a little bit shorter." It was a good gig anyway. That's by the way.
We do have a 17-minute song. The very first album I did, like I said at the top, that I did on my own in my flat, which was when Lute was kind of born. It was a 17-minute, which we have done at gigs. It's kind of not something we do.
I love playing that.
We bring it out sometimes, and we've done it at gigs before where there's still 20 minutes left of the set, and we say, "Okay, this is our last song," and everyone looks a bit confused. It is what it is, Yeah. But
hey, so hopefully I'll catch you on a gig somewhere, particularly if you're in this part of the world. I know lots of venues. I'll talk to Justin.
Well, I love Cardiff. Yeah, well, I've always had a good time in Cardiff.
Well, there are 3 venues that do sort of smallish gigs in Cardiff. They're all on Womanby Street. One is called Fuel, which is predominantly heavy rock and metal. The other one is called Club Iverback, which is a bit more eclectic. And the last one is the Moon Club, and that's a bit more poppy type things.
Yeah.
So, but you can check those out.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, the Barfly. Is the Barfly still there? Is that gone now?
No, as with everywhere, a lot of venues have closed down.
That's it, isn't it? All these venues that I remember from the 90s that aren't there anymore.
But, well, thank you for your time. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. So, Ed and Mark, thanks for your time. Do you have anything exciting that you'd like to add that may be coming up in the future?
Well, yeah, some exciting news. Our next show will be at Gulliver's in Manchester on September 29th, supporting Tiberius, which should be a really good show. So hopefully anyone who's in the area or not might want to come and check us out then.
Gulliver's a great venue as well. We've played there
Great
before,
venue,
so.
in the Northern Quarter. So, come and see us there. Yeah, we'll hopefully see some of you there.
Well, brilliant. Yeah, enjoy the gig. And like I said, if you got any more music coming out and you want to send it my way, you've got a fan.
Thank you.
Awesome. Please say, yeah, we'll do.
Okay. There's no point just in reviewing it because he's got a bit of a bias.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Take care, guys.
Cheers, Dave. Thanks a lot. Cheers.